Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 293 days until Christmas 2024. And today, this is your show. This is where you, the members and patrons of this channel, can join in the live stream and talk about Star Wars. The way to do that is become a patron over on Patreon, and the link is posted there. Or become a YouTube member, and it's posted in the community tab there as well. And if you have your accounts synced up to Discord, there's a hidden channel on our Discord for members that link, and you can find the link to join today's show there as well. It's that easy. So you can find the links to join as a Patreon or on Discord in the description of the channel here of today's show, and you can join in today's discussion. As I said, this is your show. This is where you get to come on and you get to talk about Star Wars. Specifically, we're talking about the Bad Batch season 3. We're 5 episodes in, and we've gotten the story going really well. I should note also here at the top of the show, Jason Ward over at MakingStarWars.net, he is doing a live stream right now. It's called The Acolyte Trailer is Coming over on the Making Star Wars show. You guys want to check out Jason Ward over there. He's got Bespin Bulletin with him, and also Rob Sketchcraft. They're talking about Star Wars over there as well. And I've got them on the screen right here so that I can watch Jason's show. I can let all the commercials play, and I can let him get the watch hours over there while it's muted. And I can check the chat and see what's going on there as well. All right. So all of that at the front of the show. And we've got 2 guests lined up so far. And we've got Jedi Mike. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. And for those that don't know, Mike's father-in-law passed away suddenly this past weekend. Our prayers are with you, Mike, with your family, as you're going through the planning for his end of life, the celebration, funeral, and that kind of thing. So prayers are with you, my friend. Also, we have Nerd Mafia right here. The guy who doesn't watch my show except when he could come on. No, just kidding. Just
when he's not playing basketball, Santa, he's
that's right
available.
Well, he got kicked off his team recently, so he's okay. Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
How you doing?
Good. Just in between jobs, figured I'd stop in and BS about the Bad Batch.
Excellent. Well, thank you both very much for joining. So what are your thoughts so far? Mike, I know you said you missed episode 5.
Yes, it's been so good so far. But and I don't mind spoilers when we end up talking about it. I'm just so happy that I get to watch it with everybody, and I'm Team Sheev, right? So that's like the biggest fun thing is trying to stay up late.
Yeah, and I saw Sheev. He's running a little behind on his content as well. He's still healing from that major accident he was involved in, and he's got some healing yet to go. So continue to keep Sheev in your prayers as he's healing there as well. And he's a great guy. Love that dude. So there's a couple things going. Well, before I go there, before I start asking questions, Nerd Mafia, how are you doing on the Bad Batch this season so far?
I mean, it's all right. It's still it feels to me just a little bit slow. I'm ready to even with that. What do we get, a 2 or 3 episode like start? It just felt like we didn't get that far from that. I don't know. Like, I'm not like complaining. I'm just, I don't know. It hasn't picked up fully for me yet.
Fair. Although push back just a little bit, right away, Omega escaped and got back to the Bad Batch. That wasn't fast enough. 2 episodes, 3 episodes.
That's true. Like, I mean, part of it, quick. I can't. That's true. I don't know. I don't feel completely satisfied yet. I don't know what to say.
I gotcha.
Can't put it into words.
Yeah, there's a couple of things going around that people are theorizing about, and one of them I've discussed here extensively. And I know that like a Star Wars obsession has gone into it. I see KG in the chat. Good to see you. And Fitz, good to see you too. Mumbo Jimbo. We've got the Wall of Fame scrolling by right there. There's Mumbo Jimbo on the Wall of Fame. You know who's not on the Wall of Fame? Yeah, that guy.
No, that guy. Can't win them all. Or rigged.
Rigged. Hashtag rigged. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. One thing I've discussed a lot is what's the situation with Omega? A couple things about her, right? When she was at Mount Tantus, they were doing blood testing on lots of folks, Omega included. The point of that testing seemed to be, could the blood of the subject accept midichlorians without degradation of the midichlorians being merged in, right?
You actually broke that down really well in that video, I think, with Jason. I thought about just kind of copying like everything and making a short out of it.
You should. Go for it.
No, I'm just going to take your voice, everything. I'm just going to throw that in. Be like, boom, done.
Well, after he says it, well, we lost him.
Oh, he's driving. It's okay. He'll be back.
I wonder if he agrees. Nerd Mob, I wonder if you agree with Fitz. Is she a Jedi then? I mean, we're going to talk about it in a second, I'm sure.
Somebody keeps freaking calling me as I'm trying
to
yeah. Do you
2024?
Do you think that Omega has sufficient midichlorians that she could be force sensitive or use the force?
I mean, we don't have any evidence of it yet.
Right. Agreed.
So.
I don't think we'll ever get evidence, right? I don't think we'll ever get evidence.
I agree with both of you.
Unless she does something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be a plot hole at the end, like, ooh, let's leave this character open to more comic books like we've talked about. I think there's something else maybe.
Oh,
I don't think so either, because I think she's dead.
Oh.
Yeah, I keep seeing you say that. And I don't know if you're just trolling me or if you really think...
I'm really not. I think she's dead.
You think Omega's going to die by the end of the season?
I mean, she's either dead or they like froze her and just used her for creating Snoke. But Snoke looked pretty ugly too, so I don't think that worked out. I think she died and they didn't get to use like her body and her blood for that.
Fair enough.
Or maybe
Mike,
she learned to what they're trying to do, and she purposely put herself in danger so they couldn't do that to her.
maybe.
I just
Maybe.
don't. I don't totally understand. I still think we don't know if it's like a red herring or not. Like I think maybe it doesn't even matter. Like people keep saying Nala Se or whatever knew something. Why would she know the information about the metachlorians or not? Like maybe they're not using omega 4 or something. Maybe she just has a different force sensitivity is what I'm trying to say. I think it leads to eventually everyone has a different way of tapping into the force, and it expresses itself in different ways, almost like we're turning into the Magic the Gathering or the X-Men, right? That Star Wars is going there with all the force, different powers, and all the different people from all the different worlds. But that's what I think. That's how I think it wouldn't be a closed book, because everyone has a little bit of force.
Well,
Maybe.
you know,
we already know that, though.
Right.
Sabine proved that, you know?
Well, more than
Sabine is kind of proving it, but we don't know with that narrative. And Ray is kind of proving it, but we don't know how they're all going to weave together, is what I'm saying. I'm just confused.
George Lucas always proved that when he talked about it, like 40 years ago, too. Like, we all know that, so.
Well, he talked about the midichlorians being, like, unified something, but...
Well...
No,
I don't know.
Well,
he even went further. Yeah, he went further to compare it in that what was really the source for midichlorians were mitochondria. Mitochondria become midichlorians in that athletes. He had been reading some journals, and athletes have a lot more mitochondria in their blood than couch potatoes, right? So he was like, "Oh, I like that. I'll use it." And so he took mitochondria, came up with midichlorian, and there you have it. So the other piece that he put in there is like Santa, Brian, I have mitochondria in my blood, even though I don't do any athletics whatsoever. Am I athletically inclined? Am I gifted in any way? No, I am not. So the same is true of in the Star Wars universe. Everybody has midichlorians. Everybody has mitochondria. Do you have enough sufficient in your blood to make you more adept?
Kanan Jarrus even said it in Rebels. Like, anybody can use the Force. You have to be open to it. So it's...
Yeah.
But you have to midichlorians aren't the sole way to get there. It's just the cheat.
Right, and I think that what Baymax is saying, like as a fantasy vehicle, her being a vessel, I think people understand that concept, and that's probably what's going on. And then I'll leave what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, like, back in Star Wars Rebels, we got to see Zeb's people and Zeb's planet and how they viewed the Force. And it really was awesome in the narrative. It helped, like, wrap up the episode, literally them using different Force powers and stuff, I think is the future. Again, Luke seeing all the different Force powers when he travels around. Like, I think the future of Star Wars is the Magic the Gathering, X-Men. We all have it, and it expresses itself differently depending on what world between worlds you're in, or all kinds of. They could use that as a narrative vehicle, and then I'll leave it.
No, I agree with you, Mike. And what we had I said you showed that book, but also in the books I've been covering on our Patreon.
They said Plagueis.
I know.
I'm still here too. I don't know what happened to my video though. But.
No, you're doing good, dude.
On Patreon, I've started covering the Fate of the Jedi books, and in those books as well, as Luke is looking for the source of the problem that's plaguing everybody, he's encountering people who interpret the Force differently, and the way that they access it, the way they use it, what they do with it. But all of that is neither here nor there when we talk about Omega. Yeah. Does she have sufficient midichlorians in her blood naturally,
right, that
she is Force sensitive or can use the Force in whichever way she may interpret it, right?
Right, and how easy is it going to line up? Like, are we going to get a chart eventually, like an infographic for people at Batu that shows Anakin's Force level and Grogu's and Omega's and Hera? You know, because Sabine's there. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, it's where they've been kind of
secret.
Yeah, they've kind of been going that way. So we know,
This is
like,
in Grogu's blood. Why do they need Grogu? I guess is what I'm saying. Like, isn't that the logical place that maybe Omega is like Grogu or Grogu's like Omega? I don't know.
I don't know about that. What I do know is, like, you go back to.
I mean, the midichlorian numbers. That's all I meant.
Yeah, I know.
Jedi or not.
When you go back to the Phantom Menace. So we first get this word midichlorian used in Star Wars. We know that young Anakin, his midichlorian levels were so high, higher than Master Yoda's. That was so high that he just intuitively, naturally was using the Force as he was piloting those pod racers. Right? He didn't know what the Force was. He didn't know a daggone thing about Jedi or using the Force, but his midichlorian level was so high, it was just intuitive, like he was using it like whatever, right? We see the same with other Force sensitives, that their midichlorian levels are so high, they're off the charts, or very high. You can say that about Luke, you can say that about Rey, you can say that about many people, that their midichlorian levels are really high. Grogu seems to be pretty high.
Like, is it an electromagnetic thing? Is that how the Inquisitors get them? Like, that's one part that I'm. How do people feel each other?
Oh, that's
what I meant.
They've hinted at that in a video game, but we'll
See what I'm
see
saying?
about
Like, that's also a thing about Omega and bounty hunters. Like, it's all maybe connected.
Maybe. The thing I have is in Legends, there was a device that looked like it worked a bit like a radar, and it would ping when somebody's midichlorian levels were high enough. They'd be like, ping, oh, there's one over there. All right, and they could go find them that way. Much like a tracker, We haven't bridged that with Omega, and also, well, at least in this stage, what we're seeing is they're looking for the transfer part. I don't care if you've got 1 midichlorian or 10 or 1,000,000. If we put 100 in, do we get 100 out? Or if we put 100 in, do we get 50 out? And what they've been experiencing, when you see in the beginning, Hemlock talks about it in episode 1 and also 3, when they put 100 in, but it's only like 80 or 50 out. Like, it ain't working. And so they keep testing it, right? So with Omega, they put 100 in, they get 100 out. I go back to the question, do you think she has enough that it trips a threshold where she would show up, say, on the midichlorian radar, or that she just has intuitively natural Force intuition?
I think that she has Force intuition of some type. I mean, I just think, like many people have said, Meg, the last time she was with you and Jason, the narrative just seems to be heading that way. Like, it doesn't, like, you haven't spoiled anything, and I haven't seen Jason spoil anything about that yet, because they're obviously holding that close.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Nerd Mafia to come back. As he's driving, he's coming in and out. He said he's getting phone calls, and that keeps interrupting his connection. So we'll get his opinion on this as well.
They got to figure out what's important here at my work. Like,
there you go. You're back.
Is my video back or no?
Yeah, your video is back. Do you think Omega has enough natural midichlorians without any transfer that she already has some Force intuition or Force sensitivity?
I mean, I have no idea. They just haven't given us enough in the show about that. I mean, all that we definitively know is that her blood can accept midichlorians. So I guess It's possible that she does have some, but we don't know that from what we've seen so far. And she hasn't displayed anything proving that she has any like Force powers or anything so far. She hasn't exhibited that. She's a good like tactician, but that just means she's smart. And so was like the guy that she was cloned. He was a pretty good tactician too. So we don't really have any proof that she's Force sensitive. We just have proof that her blood could accept it.
Right.
And for all we know, maybe Jango's could accept it too. and maybe because they were kind of out of it by the time they started testing for this, and I don't think
Right.
anybody tested Boba.
Right. And to my point that I mentioned before, and hello, Darth Elvis. Oh, good to see you, Greg. Thanks for stopping in to say hi. We also don't know what the maximum capacity of her blood. And I say that because by the time we get to the Mandalorian and Dr. Pershing is transferring midichlorians M count to new subjects, they would overload them. They're overloading them because they would accept the midichlorians, but then the subjects didn't do so good after the fact. Right. And that seems to be the case with Snoke, right? Snoke, he's deformed, like he's got some weird stuff going on.
Well, all this stuff is weird in the timeline. Because what did you say? When is that episode of The Mandalorian when we first see the tanks and we hear the Snoke music? When is that?
More than a decade. It's more than a decade after what we're doing right now with Omega. Right? Maybe 2 decades. Like it's in that 20-year time frame between Omega now and then. And so the first thing they got to do, and what we have to figure out is, okay, great. Omega's blood can take a transfer. We don't know the capacity of it. We know Grogu, they were using his blood as part of the experiment by the time you get 20 years down the line. But what were they doing then versus what they're doing, say, now? I don't think it's the same experiments. I think they already got past the finding the means or the subjects that can accept. Now they need to find a subject that can take the capacity, right? Because at the end of the day, Palpatine doesn't want to lose ability when he does his force transfer, right?
I guess what people might ask is, like, in terms of the plot, I wonder, like, is there going to be something that's pivotal about this? Or is this just going to be, like you said, it connects a dot somehow and it doesn't really matter. And at the end of the season, it's really about the relationships. And that's what we really care about. And you know, obviously, the music and everything else has been so good this season. Like, I just wonder where we're going to be.
Yeah,
I think as far as this is going to go is she's going to somehow he's not going to be able to use her as a clone body, and that's why he has that disfigured looking guy Snoke that he uses for that movie we don't talk about. And then I don't know. You explained it pretty well like a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
Beyond this. I'm more so thinking about like the title names for the next 2 episodes and what that means for the story.
Excellent. We can
the Rey episode. You mean the episodes of these? I thought you were talking about the title of the Rey movie. Because
no.
I
don't
want to
even
know
know
how this all connects to Rey's dad.
No.
I can care less.
You don't want to know you don't want to know about Rey, Palpy, Skywalker, Thursday. Like, you know, I want to know.
Nah, I live in the real world.
Today is Bad Batch. Today's Bad Batch, Mike.
I know.
We're going to keep it on Bad Batch today. I do want to address a couple of chats, and then I want to migrate to the discussion to what Nerd Mafia just brought up. So Baymax touched base on, he thinks that she will have the Force, but not in the classic sense of being able to mind, move things, fight with sabers, that kind of stuff, but more like intuition, right? Battle meditation, that kind of thing. And he says if she had that, she'd be natural fail for a military strategist like Thrawn, or he'd be a natural foil, not fail. She'd be a natural foil for a military strategist like Thrawn. Or yes, exactly. So we may see that kind of thing. I would think that if
like the way Sabine was trained.
No, not at all. Like Sabine was trained, more of a tactician, more of
we already said this last week. That's why she might be hanging out with Fennec. Yes,
she could. She could be going with Fennec at the end of this, or Nerd Mafia keeps saying it, and I know Will Morgan from Meta Egg, he keeps saying she's going to be either in Carbonite or in what is that? The
You're talking about Cinderella theory?
Yeah. Amber, is it Amber?
Oh, the Jurassic Park theory, the amber
Jurassic
preservative theory.
Yeah, that she's going to be asleep, and yeah, his theory.
I don't know why
asleep.
everybody is so opposed to her just dying. Like, I mean, the first argument I heard after the first season was like, "Oh, think about all the toy money that they're not going to get." Are they selling a lot of Omega toys? It doesn't seem like it.
They're not making a lot of Omega toys at this point.
Exactly. So what are we talking? That's a non-starter for the car. We keep moving the goalposts when it's like, dude, she's dead. Like, I'm sorry.
We'll see. I just don't see them killing the main character of an animated series.
You mean like Tech?
He wasn't the main. Where's the Tech show?
What's the show named? The Bad Batch? Isn't he one of them?
But she's obviously the protagonist that we care about. Everybody else is supporting.
Yeah, the Disney formula is kill the person in the first season, and then they have to, like kill the princess's mom type of thing.
Yeah, the princess survives, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the coolest thing in the world would be if Boba finally meets her, and then he's just like, it's too many clones. He just kills her.
Oh, jeez. What was in your breakfast this morning? And well, anyway. He's like, kill Omega.
We want Boba to be cool again, right? Like,
you brought up the upcoming titles.
Yes.
The next, we have 3 more that are part of the screeners that came out. We know folks who got the early screeners got the first 8 episodes. Dale says, Meg said it best. They won't show killing off a character introduced as a child. I agree. I just don't think so. Unless it's done from a distance, like they blow up Alderaan, like that kind of thing. Or if the theory's correct that Pabu is actually on Scarif, that Pabu is the island, Scarif is the planet, then when you get to Rogue One and Scarif is torched by the Death Star, then she could die as part of in an Andor-esque or a Rogue One-esque ending. I suppose you could get.
The planet wasn't destroyed on that one, was it?
No, but it was torched pretty good, right? It didn't blow up into bits like Alderaan, but it
was like Jeddah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like Jeddah.
It's hard to torch water, though. Pabu's got a chance,
It's got a chance. Yeah.
I like what Fitz is saying because sorry to interrupt. I like what Fitz is saying in the chat because I'm a Team Sheev guy. I would love to see the season wrap up with Omega in the white armor. I don't know why. It doesn't necessarily make any sense. At this point, we don't know where it's going, so why not have the white armor mean something? I don't know.
This always gets me, too, because it's like
it probably means
Omega
nothing.
has absolutely zero ties besides like her blood to being a Mandalorian. She wasn't raised Mandalorian. She probably doesn't even know how to pronounce it. Like just Boba was raised by at least a retcon Mandalorian.
I'm going to stand by, and we know this is the end of the Bad Batch series, but so I'm gonna stand by Omega surviving. You could be right, Nerd Mafia. I might be completely wrong, but I think that at the end it will be a bit of a tragic ending in that she is no longer with them. Thus, the end of the series. But
if Nerd Mafia bets 5 every week, can he catch up? Like
I know what I need.
Have to go
I'm
big.
so damn close. This last
Omega dies every week.
There was no hint that there's nothing specifically saying. There's nothing revealed anywhere that Echo and Rex would have been coming back. I was hoping for that 5 spot, but nope.
Nope. So we have 3 episodes that are in the screeners that we have titled that I know a little bit about, but not a whole lot. Episode 6, next week's episode, is Infiltration. Infiltration of where? What's being infiltrated? That's the theory, right?
You think
Mount
logically
Tantus?
it's got to be Tantus. You know, they
Yeah.
just got the info and all the information they possibly could. It's just who would infiltrate.
Well, I don't know that it's going to be Tantus only because they still haven't identified where it is. Right? And we were talking about this on Meg's Discord a little bit this morning. And Risman was there, Meg and myself, and we don't think that in this series that they have ever mentioned Wayland, the planet. They know Tantus, which is the facility, it's the mountain, but they don't know Wayland. And so they don't know where this facility is. And so we still have to get there. And we see in the trailer, there's a point where they have a conversation with Rex. And
Finally.
then, I think that's got to happen first, like Tech and Rex, and they're going to get together and they're going to figure out where Tantus is, that it's on Wayland, and then we'll go there. So I don't think infiltration is that.
Infiltration, like we get to see them infiltrate
Tantus.
a security team.
Yeah. Yeah. What's been infiltrated? Infiltration.
Those episodes are fun. See, I was thinking an episode like when they went and found the Snoke thing in The Mandalorian, that one episode where they infiltrated and they had to go in. It was a fun episode, a lot of action.
Yeah. KG asked the question that I asked on Meg's server. Do they have the crash ship they left in? Mm-hmm. So when they left Tantus, when they left Wayland, they were in a damaged shuttle and then they crashed it. Do they have access to that crashed shuttle so that they can pull the logs from it to see where it was? And I don't think they do. I think the Empire got that. Infiltration could be a team infiltrating the site or the facility that shuttle is in to extract that data. It could be something like that. Yeah, get the Navi unit, right? Infiltration could also be the other way around. Right? It could be somebody
trying to get into their unit.
Yeah. And then before the season started, we have a 2-episode the following week. So this coming week is Infiltration. We don't know what it is. The next 2 are called Extraction and Bad Territory. Before the season started, the prevailing thought was Extraction was the batch coming to get Omega, to extract her. Well, that's not it. Obviously, that's not it. So what could those titles be? Extraction and Bad Territory. And then just for point of reference, we have the rest of the
I don't know why
type.
I'm still thinking of going into Mount Tantus, coming out the bad territory as you have to meet up with someone and survive to get off the planet. I don't know.
I think let's go through the rest of the titles because I think that uncovers itself in the upcoming titles. It says episode 9 is The Harbinger. A harbinger's like
something to come.
Yeah. Identity Crisis in episode 10. Point of No Return is episode 11. I guess is where they say, are you in or you out?
Yeah.
If you're in, this is a suicide mission. You may not return, right? Episode 12, Juggernaut. Episode 13, Into the Breach. Episode 14, Flash Strike. And then episode 15, The Cavalry Has Arrived. That's the rest of the series, the season. And I think those last few are going to be the Into the Breach, Flash Strike, Cavalry. I think that's all at Wayland. That's just my opinion. I don't know. And nobody's seen past episode 8 anyway. Other things to consider: bounty hunters.
Cad Bane.
Yeah. None of those titles scream out bounty hunters. We know Cad Bane, Fennec Shand, and Ventress are part of what's coming, but when?
Well, when you have to squad up for a big battle at the end, right? Like it make those titles made me think of the way that the last season of the Clone Wars ended, right? With a certain momentum and a certain finale energy and stuff like that. So we have to get enough people from different places. Kind of like the problems that we were talking about with the last season of The Mandalorian. Like somehow they have to all come together, right? Kind of.
Yeah, KG's corrected me. Next week is the double feature, and then a single after that. So we get 6 and 7 are together. Infiltration and Extraction are together, and then Bad Territory is the following week.
That's
So
what
where
I'm
else
saying,
do we
Baymax.
think
I don't know.
she could be infiltrating? It could be infiltrating and extraction.
Yes. Yeah. So the infiltration and extraction, they've got to get in, they got to get something, and then they got to get out. Right.
In, out, and then the bad territory is the forest or wherever they're stuck with the monsters and they have to catch the ship to get back to, I don't know. It's
Now,
very simplistic.
Yeah. Baymax says, do we think we'll actually see a full-on clone uprising versus the imps on Tantus? It would be a fitting series finale. I think so. Yes.
I just don't know
I'm
how
gonna
many,
vote.
and that's why I'm saying they're going to have to squad up and bring other people.
Yeah.
Because how many clones are they going to have to bring back for an uprising? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I guess they all come out of the woodwork type of vibe.
Well, there's a bunch of them there being experimented on, and so if you go,
And
they're
that's enough.
there,
Yeah.
right? So you take in
One
a
way
small,
out, one way out, right? One way
yes,
out. Which
there you go. Yeah, you take a small squad in, you start opening up the doors, and everybody comes out, right? The classic prison break kind of scenario, where
I'm Andor season 2 hyped. Don't tell anybody.
Well, we'll get to those later. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I'm just saying, no, One Way Out was a very good Star Wars moment. One Way Out, people, is one of those force moments that I think we're pivoting into in society, but that is way woke, and we don't need to go down there.
No, we'll get there.
One Way Out was a good Andor moment for me.
Yes, it was. Baymax says cavalry arrives would be a bunch of clones arriving from elsewhere with Rex to join the ones on Tantus or that extraction team, right? They've got
how many could show up is what I meant. I don't even know.
Yeah, they've got to assemble an extraction team. How many of those are out there that could be assembled for that extraction team, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, so infiltrating and extracting, I think, is about information more than it is people. And I've shared this before. It's spoiler-ish, not really spoiler. It's spoiler-ish. So for anybody that's trying to avoid anything that's even ish, the bounty hunters are not in the first 8 episodes. So we have the next 3, infiltration and extraction and bad territory, no bounty hunters. When we get to Harbinger, or is it Harbinger?
A harbinger of something to come is what you say,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
When you're like the dictionary doctor or whatever. I try not to be a know-it-all, sorry.
Hey, Sabersmith says, I don't know to you guys, but I'm stuck on those super cool TK troopers from episode 4. Hot Toys needs to jump on that.
I loved episode 4. Yeah.
Hot Toys just released some images of Balin and Shin that are amazing. Like, very tempting. It's like, holy moly, those are fantastic. But of course they are, right? Baymax, the mystery of the series is what's in the vault on Tantus. That's another good question. So let me throw that out.
There you go. Yeah, there's the extraction.
What do you think? What is the vault?
Well,
What's
if you have
in
to
the
push a button.
What do you think's in the vault?
It's gonna be Grogu, right?
No.
I
mean, you see Palpatine smile. What else can make him smile? But a little cute little Grogu sitting there, you know? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like that would be an awesome short. All right, I'm gonna mess with that.
My favorite one is one I came up with because I was getting trolled on one of my shows. Is if you've read the Plagueis novel, you know that Plagueis captured another Sith who was sent to kill him. So his master Tenebrous actually had two apprentices. He had Plagueis and another Bith, the species Bith, who at his death, this other Bith comes out of the woodwork to try to kill Tenebrous, or try to kill Plagueis, tries to kill Plagueis, and Plagueis ends up defeating him, but then keeps him as an experiment for like 20 years, 30 years. And he keeps him at the edge of death, and he just keeps experimenting and experimenting, like killing him, bringing him back, killing him, bringing him back, like right at
it's like your experience having to keep reading this book.
So that's where Palps learned it from.
Yeah. So what if Palpatine in that vault has Plagueis in there? He's basically dead, and they just keeping him on some measure of life support, enough to pull midichlorians out of him and plug it into other people and keep him right there. He's gonna die. He's not gonna die. What if it's Plagueis that's in the vault?
I want to hear Nerd Mob first.
What if it's Mace Windu?
What if it's
Mace lives?
Or what if it's like all the people from like the little amber like prison that Obi-Wan Kenobi stumbled upon, and then nothing became in that.
Yeah, it could be Barriss Offee or somebody like that in there, right?
Whoa.
I still say though, like the reason he smiles is because like he looks over and it's like soundproof, but you see he's a little cooing Grogu. He's like, oh.
I know it's a kind of a wild guess. I still want it to be Plagueis in a very bad way, and he's looking over there. He's smiling because I beat you,
You're
buddy.
Obsessed with Plagueis. Yeah, you got an issue with this guy.
I honestly think that they're going to save any Plagueis connection to the Alkalite and keep it at that like adult, like darker level. They wouldn't do it for Bad Batch. That's just my feeling,
think they could.
Intuition.
I absolutely think
they could. But
you go back to the Clone Wars animated series. You see, what's her name? The one Jedi. She's basically a mummy that they've kept.
Oh yeah, that was Barriss. No?
All right, guys. I got to get out of here. Some people got to work for a living, you know?
Hey, thanks a lot, Nerd Mafia. Have a great
folks
day.
got jobs.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Take it easy. The other thing that would make me very, very happy about it being Plagueis, it's another thing that retcons the book. So that anything that retcons the book, because I hate that book so much, wipes it out of existence. It was Luminara undoing.
Oh, Luminara, right. Yeah, you're right.
It was Luminara that was the. That
was a great zombified. She was behind the glass.
Zombified. I think you absolutely could have a zombified, mummified, barely, recognizable Plagueis in the vault, who's Palpatine is just continuing to torture for the rest of eternity or whatever. I love it. I think that's what we need. And it would make a lot of nerds who keep talking about Plagueis being and everything. There he would be, and you would see that he is not, gonna rise to power. It's not happening. That would be great. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I just made a Snoke smoke theory. Like, I don't know. I don't know how Snoke is going to come into it if this cloning happens. And so if he's messing with Plagueis, who was like his master or more powerful at some point, and he's just keeping him around, and then they eventually don't use it, right? And he's still using Snoke to get his evil plan. Like the Rise of Skywalker. Please,
let me back up for let me back up for Snoke for you.
Yeah.
So Snoke in some of the comics leading up to The Force Awakens is more or less normal-ish looking, and he's having chats with Ben.
Right, in the forest, in the comic book. Now, yeah.
Well, in that station, it's not the forest. It's in the station that's in the High Republic novels. It's the same place.
Yes.
It's just that it's a different time frame. So you see Plagueis more or less in normal-ish form, talking to Ben
Snoke,
at that time, right? Yes, Snoke. So if you back up prior to that, how old was Snoke by then? How old was he by the original trilogy? We think that he was around during the original trilogy. He would have to be. And based on Ben's age and his age, he definitely would have been. At this point where you have Omega being, all these clones being experimented upon, he could be around. He could be around.
But then again, it goes back to what Baymax was saying, and if we know too much of the math, it takes away the mystery, or
it does.
That complicates things.
And Star Wars has never been great at helping you figure out the math to make it to, all the pieces fit together. So Kay says, are Rey and Omega around the same age? Not even close, Kay. Rey isn't born until I'd have to look it up. Well after the Return of the Jedi. She's not born until well after that. Ben is born basically a year after Return of the Jedi. Han and Leia, in celebrating the fall of the Empire, come up with Ben. That's how he originates. So he starts about a year after Return of the Jedi. Rey isn't born until sometime after that. Omega is born during the prequel trilogy, so a good bit before. And the question, and if we're trying to make a connection to Rey and Omega and Grogu and all of it,
Snoke and
if you're trying to put all those pieces together, Rey is the byproduct of a clone of Palpatine. He was cloning himself, and he was then testing those clones to see if they were force sensitive, because apparently even by then they don't have a reliable way in which they can do these transfers. So does he have some concoction that he's putting into those clones of himself, or is it purely Rey was born in 15 ABY? Okay, thanks, Dale. So does he have some concoction where he's putting in a little mix of Luke and Anakin and dripping in a couple of drops of Grogu and some Omega blood in that? I don't think so.
I mean, how about the Anakin birth? Are we going to go back to that?
I think all of this is just experiments to get him to a point where he knows he can clone himself, and then from that he could push his essence into and continue to live forever. I think that's what he was trying to do. So I don't think, and Rey then is not a clone of Palpatine, but she is a natural daughter of Palpatine's cloned self and a woman that he ran off with and then had Rey. That's so she's not a part of that. Matt Risman, from what I understand, in the second half of the Bad Batch, he's picking on me right now.
Yep.
We're going to see a clone of Plagueis appear at Tantus. There you go. Dale, Palpa Juice. I know what you're talking about. So yeah, KG says my brain's trying to connect them somehow. somehow. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of people are just trying to put those pieces together. How do we get from here all the way to there? And there's a lot to be told in that gap. And we know that they're laying some seeds here with Omega. And it's my take that at this point they're just trying to figure out how can we get midichlorians in to equal midichlorians out. That's all they're trying to figure out. Omega's blood is the first one we are aware of where the midichlorians in equals the midichlorians out. And you're absolutely right when you say, well, maybe Boba's blood does the same. Yeah, maybe it does.
I think
We
there's
don't-
something happening in the writer's room somewhere between how Force powers work in the High Republic era and what we're going to get at the end of that era and what we're going to get in the Acolyte and the new Filoni verse. Like, they must be talking about stuff. So is this plot going towards the end of this season only and a 3-season arc for this show only that connects to the Clone Wars verse? You know, or is it something more? And that's what I just don't know. I'm always
Dan the
team
man,
half full. I mean, I'm throwing in the
man.
love for Mike Porter. I'm team half full.
Dan seems to be a little bit on the same page as Nerd Mafia says. He's out of this show until Ventress shows up. Not worth the week-to-week watch, in his own opinion, anymore. And Nerd Mafia seemed to say, not quite that far, but it was saying the show isn't connecting entirely for him, and it's moving a little too slow. For me, it's moving very quickly, and every episode is moving the plot forward by leaps. So to me, it's moving along quite quickly, but I'm more interested in some of those details than other people are, right? And I get it. Not everybody's interested in knowing this story arc. They're interested in an entirely different story arc. And if it's an entirely different story arc you're interested in, you're just waiting for this story to catch up to that or intersect with it so that then you can get engaged. And at this point, the Bad Batch isn't doing it for you. Fair. And that could be true of any Star Wars show. If you're interested in the Skywalker saga, you're just interested in when does this going to intersect with the Skywalker saga. I don't really care about anything else. Fair.
That's the momentum of Andor. I mean, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't work for some people. Anyway.
Right. No, because it doesn't intersect directly with the Skywalker saga, right? Andor doesn't.
But some people it does. And that does have a momentum. It's strange.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's in the same universe. It's in the same story, but it's not directly intersecting with the Skywalker saga. And if that's the thing that lights your fire, if that's the thing that leads your way, then I get it. I get it. Matt says the season's really moved away from the clone plight plot. True, significantly this season. So in some ways, it does seem like a little bit different series. True. All right. Well, Mike, I know you're dying to talk about some other stuff. I'm holding it off because it says here we're talking about the Bad Batch.
Of course.
Hey,
it's community channel. I go where the flow goes.
we will have a show where we will talk about some of the other things larger. I'm currently reading the High Republic series. Just a question for you. How much of that series are you reading? All of it?
Not the new books. I have been at least 9 months behind, but my High Republic comic book stuff is pretty fun. But I don't know, I don't know what that connects to in terms of where we are in the second phase or whatever they're calling it of the books.
Well,
and the third phase.
Yeah, we're in the third phase now.
Right.
Third wave, whatever it is. And in this wave, there's a big story point that I'm dying to know the explanation of. And for folks that aren't following the High Republic whatsoever, it's that there's a section of the universe or the larger sphere that the Nile, the bad guys, have been able to cordon off. And if you try to fly a ship through into that area, your ship will disintegrate.
Yeah, you have to have a wayfinder. I mean, not
you
really,
have
but-
you have to have the secret code that lets your ship go through that barrier without self-destructing. And what is that technology? Because it's pretty powerful technology. And when you think about the High Republic being set before the prequel trilogy, well, apparently we're going to solve that problem, and it's not going to ever be a problem again. Right now, it would seem like, wow, this is pretty relevant technology. Why didn't we see it in the prequels, originals, sequels, anything, right? Where did it go? Where did this technology go? That and we're got to get from here to there, right? How are we going to solve the problem? How are we going to discover what it is? And then the second part of that, which I think is a little easier, are these that right now they're calling them the nameless. It's the beasts that devour the Force. So they're sort of opposite of if you've read Legends material where things could block the Force and block anybody's ability to use the Force. That came in a couple of different forms. The Ysalamiri, those lizards did it, but then it also came up with the Yuzan Vong and things like that. But in this case, it's the opposite. So if they come across anybody with significant Force ability, they can suck their life out of them. And it causes great amount of fear, and they turn into ash. What happens to those critters? How do they end up defeating them? Because anytime a Force user gets anywhere close, they're powerless to fight it, right? So it's going to have to be a non-Force user that kills them.
There's been another reason that the High Republic has been differentiating between powers. Not to cause confusion in the future. I just think they're building infrastructure also, right? Narrative infrastructure. There's different ways you can turn the Force on or off. There's different ways that some species will find ways to travel through the Force or hyperspace or won't. Like, there's always going to be this bad guy that's looking for this way to travel through this time and space, and World Between Worlds opens up all different types of species and different cross narratives and things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean,
the timelines, the various timelines, and how different species and creatures or whatever you call them experience in the Star Wars universe, right? The High Republic is literally in the same block, even if it's far out in the suburbs or whatever, compared to the inner Coruscant part.
Your theory about the World Between Worlds varies drastically from mine, but that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. We'll get more clarification on that. And I don't want to drill too far away from Bad Batch today.
That's true.
We'll jump into
That's what you were saying.
Yeah, we'll jump more into that. The High Republic, as this wave comes to an end, and as we get into the Acolyte, which takes place in the High Republic era as a whole, it would be a more appropriate discussion for that point, especially if we want to kind of bring people up to point on what has happened to this point before the Acolyte starts. What's the context of it? Where does it fit? We can have that discussion.
I think the best frame of reference would be to look at all the bad guys and maybe ponder, how are they going to have new bad guys? What are the bad guys like in this Acolyte show? What were they like in the High Republic era?
I don't know about.
How is this Sith going to be? How's bad going to be represented? Is it going to be soul-sucking Dementors bad in the Acolyte? Because it's like, or is it going to be Darth Maul and bad Thrawn, bad strategy, bad guy? Like,
yeah, it's going to be, it'll be
because like the brother and all the stuff in Ahsoka is very mystical. Right. All that
again, you're getting outside of the like regular universe, but yeah, you're right. But in the High Republic era, the bad guys just hate Jedi. That's basically it. That's it. And there's nothing special about the main bad guy in the High Republic era. He's not empowered with some special kind of power. He's just a bad guy. He's a dude who hates Jedi. The end. And he's using tactics, and he's got weapons that they're unaware of, specifically these nameless that they suck the power out of a Jedi. And secondly, this thing that blocks off the universe. If you try to fly through it, your ship disintegrates. Like, that's a big problem. But both of those problems are going to be solved by the end of this wave of the High Republic. And then we'll be back into what we understand Star Wars. So I think the bad guys are, and from what we've gotten in the lead up to the Acolyte, they're going to be Sith-ish in that kind of space. The other things going on in Star Wars, we'll get to talk about them more. Matt Risman loves to troll me on the Rey delay. We do have some rumors about the upcoming Rey movie. I saw Josh Lucas discuss it on Den of Nerds the other day. Those are rumors, and there's a lot of blanks that need filled. I personally am a Finn Rey guy. I'm absolutely perfectly fine with Rey and Finn getting together and having children. That's fantastic. Super excited about that. But the other thing would be, I need Finn to be in the movie, and we don't have confirmation of that. So just take the pause button and wait. Let's wait. We don't know enough right now. You can get all kinds of worked up, excited, or angry about whatever it is rumored to be, and we know nothing. So at this point, it's speculation, rumors, and to my knowledge, and then talking with Jason and Bespin and other people that contact me, that give me information, none of that is verified. None of that is substantiated in any way. So it's just, grain of salt, table salt, whatever you need to do.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Tales season 2.
And Tales of the Jedi. There's rumors about stuff like that. There's rumors about when the Bad Batch ends, what's the next thing? And if Omega survives, where does her story pick up next? Those are great questions. We can get into those as this.
Well, and Jason was talking about what's the May the 4th drop, because you have toy info. What's coming up for May the 4th, and when will they announce D23, and when will they announce Star Wars Celebration? Like, all that stuff's going to start falling into place, right? With toys and trade shows and stuff coming up.
Yeah, and Meg has a theory about the end of the Bad Batch, of having a tag at the end where we get a preview of what the next show is, especially if Omega is alive and it goes to black, and then we see some credits roll and it comes back, and you see Omega is like a 25-year-old doing something, right? You're like, wait.
Yeah, because if we get an Omega and Ahsoka animated series, that would fire up Ahsoka people a lot.
I'm personally in favor of an Omega and Fennec animated series, because Fennec is missing during the entire original trilogy, and that means they went somewhere. And where did they go, and what are they doing? And it does not intersect with the original trilogy. So I'm very interested in that. So
hey, you had me at Disney legend Ming Na.
I love her. I do.
Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out. I do have a Mike Porter dad joke. It is Star Wars related, and Mike Porter's been paying attention. He's been engaged with the conversation. He knows what's going on in Star Wars. If you guys aren't following Mike Porter on Twitter, his bio link is in the description of every single one of my videos. Go find Mike Porter on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. He says he's taking care of his wife's car right now. He had a garage, take it to the garage. So Mike isn't with us during the stream, but we do have the Mike Porter dad joke. He says, "What do you call a vaccine on the planet Wayland?" Well, you would call it a Tantus shot.
Mike Porter, we love you, brother.
That's right.
Take care of your ticker and take care of that car's ticker.
The chosen pun has hit again. Thank you for that. Jedi Mike, thanks for hanging out with me again. It's nice that our very first community stream of 2024. It took till March, but here we are.
Well, we know you have a busy life.
I do.
We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And all of you who have been here with us, we'll see you, Mike. All of you who have been with us today, thank you for your support. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and look forward to maybe seeing you tomorrow as we talk about the Star Wars news of the week. We'll talk about what Jason's talk about. We'll talk about Acolyte. We'll talk about some of the other news, maybe some of the speculation, but we'll catch you all tomorrow. And until then, my friends, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.